Good evening, everybody. You are watching the Chrissy B Show, and we're going to be talking about relationship stresses. Now, although Christmas is supposed to be a happy time, it's also very stressful and can really put a strain on relationships. So what's the best way to deal with relationship stresses over the festive period? With me tonight, I have parenting coach Sharon Norton and relationships writer Natalie Liu, who later on will also be having some tips for, oh, you know, I'm messing it up today. Never mind, it's a live show. Can't talk. This is because I haven't had my dinner. But let me start again. We've also got Chris Brown with us, who's going to be sharing his self-development tips later on. So if you want to get in touch at any point during the show, you can email us on chris@chrissybshow.tv, and also you can give us a call on 020 7686 6300. We have the lovely Amelia who's going to be taking your emails and reading them out a bit later on. So how do you manage relationship stresses over Christmas? So first of all, we're going to speak to Sharon, who's going to be concentrating more on the parenting side of things and the kids, right?
Right.
Good evening.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thanks, Chrissy. Very well.
Okay, so stressful time over Christmas, and you as a parent, you know that very well, don't you?
Gosh, yeah. And you know, Christmas is one of those times where it's a strange time of year. It's one of those times where there's lots of fun, but it is wrapped up in lots of stress in trying to get things done. Parents are juggling lots of balls and families, you know, relationships and things. So there's lots of things going on that cause stress around this time of year.
What do you normally do for Christmas?
Myself?
Yeah.
Christmas Day, actually, we don't see anybody. And it's just myself, my husband and our 2 children.
How do you get away with that?
Well, I took the very brave step one year. Well, it was actually when my eldest son was born, and we said that we were going to just stay at home, just the 3 of us at the time. And we've continued from there, actually, and we found that it works for us. Initially, I think, you know, if you do something like that, you have to sort of think about, you know, how the rest of the family may deal with that, because there are lots of traditions and values and things going on around that sort of thing. But it is about balancing the needs of yourself as a couple or as a small family against, you know, all of the expectations of the rest of your families.
Yeah, because you just want to chill out, don't you, on Christmas Day? Just
not
have to worry about sort of opening your presents and then dashing off. Because I remember every Christmas we used to do that. I used to want to stay at home, but every year we had to go to my uncle's house. And it's like we'd open the presents and that was it. Then we were off, have a shower, then go off to. And I was always bored there. I didn't want to sort of spend the day.
And
there.
is it actually any wonder then that children start getting fed up? And, because, you know, they get up in the morning, they're all excited, they've been off school and they've been sort of trying to, or you've been trying to manage as a parent their expectation and excitement of, you know, the pending Christmas and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. Then they wake up in the morning, they have all that excitement, all sort of combusting at one point, open their presents, and it's right, okay, come on, we're off now to Granny's, or and they've got to leave all of those presents behind. So, you know, if we look at it from a child's perspective, actually, it's not much fun for them.
So, Sharon, what are the main sources of conflict and stress, would you say, over Christmas?
Well, in my experience, working with families and parents, it's very much around finance. Christmas is a really expensive time anyway, so it's not surprising that, you know, finance is a big cause for stress. Managing the workload. There's lots of things to do at Christmas time.
Tell us about the finance first, though.
Finance.
Like, how would you deal with that then?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's a really busy time of year, where money and finances is concerned, it can be absolutely huge. And so one of the things that's quite useful to think about is actually agreeing a budget with your partner about how much you're actually going to spend, and being aware of the fact that actually even buying those little bargains on credit ultimately cost us, absolutely, and they cost us more in the long term. So if you set yourself a budget to start with, and you agree that budget, because it's very easy to get tempted to buy expensive presents. You know, we as parents get caught up in peer pressure too. You know, we want our children to have, you know, what other children are going to have, you know, but we have to be realistic because we don't want to then end the Christmas season in debt, you know. So setting a budget. For some people, that might mean actually, you know, sort of having a think about maybe not buying on credit at all and actually drawing out a set amount of cash.
Yes, definitely.
And actually, I think there's been some research showing that if we actually deal with cash, we we stick to our budget, whereas if we spend on credit, we end up sort of...
don't. There's no way you can.
Well, we don't feel like we're spending real money, do we?
Yeah.
You're just sort of getting your card out all of the time.
What about partners going shopping together?
Well, do you know what? For some couples, that works really well. And going out together and shopping together and making sure that you do stick to what you've agreed to buy for sort of family members can work really well. And of course, you know, in a busy time, you're squeezing out time together, so you can sort of have a little bit of time
make
together.
It quite fun, couldn't you? Go for a meal in between, you know, if you're trying to save money. But go for a meal, or go for a coffee and talk about the presents you've got.
Absolutely. So that can work really well for some couples. For others, you know, it might be a source of conflict. So it is about, you know, being honest with each other around what it is that your needs are around Christmas.
My husband doesn't know about any presents, like for himself, for other. He just sends me to do it.
Okay, so you buy.
Actually, he doesn't even mention presents. I just sort of think, okay, I should go and buy some presents now, and I'll just go and get them because he's not. He doesn't. First of all, he trusts me with the cash and everything, which is a nice thing. And he doesn't normally ask. I'll just show him, you know, this is what I've got for your mum, this is what I've got for this person. He's all right with it. So I'm quite happy to do that on my own because I like to whiz around anyway. Yeah,
and I think being honest, communication is the key, really, you know, to be honest with each other. And if that works for you, great. If it doesn't, then it's about discussing it and being open and honest with each other, which actually fits quite well with another stress around Christmas, which is, you know, trying to juggle visiting everybody, you know, having the in-laws, or, you know, who am I going to see over Christmas? So a hard one for a lot of families is who do we spend Christmas with? You know, and I've already shared that we don't necessarily have that problem, but you know, for a lot of families, deciding who you're going to spend Christmas with is a big source of conflict and stress. But just because you've always seen your in-laws on Christmas Day every year doesn't mean that your partner is happy to do that. Yeah. So again, be open, be honest, discuss with each other, you know, how you want to spend Christmas, and balance, because logistically it can be a nightmare, can't it? You know, you have family all over the place. So be honest with each other about how you want to spend Christmas. You know, you haven't got all of that sort of unwritten conversations around, you know, or we're going to see the in-laws again, or, you know, that you're very honest with each other about how you want it to be. And it's about balancing the expectations of family against your needs as a couple. And it's really important that actually in that time that doesn't get lost. You know, your needs of a couple need to come sometimes before the expectations of the extended family.
Yeah. That's the most important thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because imagine like a husband that's going to the in-laws every single year, doesn't say anything because he doesn't want to upset his wife or his partner. So, but then he's grumpy on the day, and then she wonders, why is he grumpy? Why is he
you
get
always
involved
spoil
with the
Christmas?
family?
You know, you get all of that you know, and so taking ownership of the way that we communicate with each other is really important.
Yeah. Okay. And how about sort of managing the Christmas tasks and like the cooking and stuff like that? Because that's obviously a source of conflict. Because normally it's mainly one person that does it all and gets really stressed and grumpy. What would you say about that?
And we only have to look at the adverts that are on TV at the moment. They seem to be switching a little bit, you know, rather than sort of all be happy families, they seem to be showing how stressful it can be for one person. They seem to be focusing on the woman in the household, but that's not always necessarily the case. Having to do everything. And so, again, really important that you show how much you value each other by sharing the workload. And so if you enjoy cooking, that's great, but then, you know, share the tasks out between the rest of the family. If you're having a huge family dinner, then why not delegate? You know, somebody can bring the wine, somebody else can be responsible for, you know, the desserts, somebody else responsible for bringing the turkey, or, you know, whatever that might be. That way, everybody contributes. Yeah. It's a real family input. And then not one person feels that, you know, they are responsible for everything.
On the other side of things, you've got that person that wants to be in control of everything, and like nothing anyone else makes will measure up to what they make.
But I think that's okay, Chrissy, if that person's happy to do that. But if they are sort of going into sort of, you know, being the martyr, and it's always me, and, you know, or too frightened to delegate, it's important to you know, to delegate and get everybody involved. Children as well. So on that lead up to Christmas, get the whole family involved. You know, why not sort of get the rest of the family involved as well?
Okay, let's see what our viewers think as well. Amelia, have we got any emails?
Yes, we do. We have a comment here from Janet. She says, last Christmas our families were separated due to a dispute that occurred last year. For 2 Christmases in a row, we'd had to visit one family at a time, and we haven't been as a whole. It's very hard to have both families under one roof, as a lot of memories come back, or one slight comment that someone makes causes a big argument. This brings a lot of stress on the children and even the adults, as it spoils our Christmas. This year we've decided to spend Christmas with our kids at home, but it's not something I would like to do every year.
Okay, do we have another one?
Yes, we do. We have one here from Daisy. She says, Christmas is always the time of the year where we spend more time together, and we try to make it the best Christmas for our kids each year. It's quite difficult as the years passes, as prices go up like crazy. It does bring a lot of problem because the kids want certain things, and although my husband knows that we have a budget, he still manages to promise them things that we can't get. It's disappointing for them, but I really try to keep our budget.
That's not easy, is it? When one parent, okay, you might have agreed on a budget and you know things are a bit tight, but then there's one person that always kind of gives in to like the feelings and stuff, and like will go overboard and spend more.
Yeah.
That must be really hard.
It is really hard, and you know that happens when you're parenting in partnership, but it also can happen when families are separated. You know, and maybe you know the primary carer can't necessarily afford all the presents that the children have asked for, and then the parent who is you know sort of away from the family home perhaps has a more disposable income perhaps, and are able to buy those extra gifts, you know. So there's a lot of sort of hurt and heartache and, you know, all of those things. It makes it really difficult for parents. But it's about being honest, I think, you know. And what I would say is, and I think I've said this on previous shows with you, Chrissy, is that actually, you know, there's a lot of guilt wrapped up in parenting. But our children will appreciate the honesty, really, and will remember in time to come, not that they got the latest iPod or, you know, the latest mini iPad, but what they will remember are those really crucial family memories, you know, that you've created together. That's what we remember in years to come.
That's what I remember from Christmas, because I forget the presents that my parents got me, but I always remember sort of their love, their care throughout the year, not just at Christmas. Yeah. Those are the memories that I have. Yeah. But parents, like you were saying, going back to the guilt thing, I was telling you earlier as well, Natalie, in the green room, that my mum's terrible with guilt. Like I was saying to you, she was such a lovely mum. She did everything for us. She was always there. You know, I wouldn't say she spoiled us because she was firm as well, but she really was a brilliant mum, spent time with us, everything, and yet she still finds things to feel guilty about. I should have done that better for you. I should have done this better for you. And I said, Mum, stop. It's like, I don't have any bad memories of my childhood at all. And it's like, well, she can't sort of see that, no matter how many times I tell her. And it's just sad because she's brilliant. Yeah, yeah. And we want Christmas to be sort of perfect, if you like. And it's really easy for us to focus on the things that we haven't done or the things that haven't gone well, rather than focusing on what is going well. We do that a lot, don't we? Gosh, yes. And we need to turn down that little negative voice in our heads, you know, because what we focus on, we'll get more of. So concentrate on the stuff that's going well. Do you know what? If you've forgotten the Brussels, does it really matter? What? So what? You're enjoying yourself and you're having fun together. No, absolutely. Okay, tell us about family traditions, Sharon, as well. Well, personally, I think family traditions are really important. Again, going back to what I just said, it's about creating those memories, and it gives us a solid cement foundation to our families. So it gives children a sense of belonging. They know where they come. It's building self-esteem. It's all of those sort of stuff. It's really, really important. And so traditions can be anything, really. They can be really quirky. They can be very commonplace. It doesn't matter what it is. But to do something regularly is something that families you can look forward to doing together. So you're enjoying looking forward to that one event that you do together. It might just be that you all go out and buy your Christmas tree on the same day, that same weekend every year on the build up to Christmas, and then you all go out and have hot chocolate together. That might be your family tradition. That's nice. Or it might be that
every Christmas morning at the same place in the home, you put your camera on timer and you have a family photograph in your gym jams or whatever. And so you can watch that progression build. You sort of every
Can
year.
you tell us a couple of your own, or is that too private?
No, I could actually. Yeah. Well, my husband and I always go to the Carols by Candlelight service. That's something that we've always done together. Yeah. But as a family, what we do is Christmas Eve, we all open one present each. Oh.
Yeah, we do that too. It's naughty.
And then us grown-ups have a little glass of champagne just to sort of, welcome in Christmas Eve. But
it's nice, interesting that you do something with your husband, just you and him, and then you do something as a family. So that's important as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and your guest after the break will obviously be talking about how important relationships are over Christmas. But, even in families, it's really important to make sure you don't squeeze out that time. It's such a busy time of year. Yeah. That the date nights get squeezed out, and the time that perhaps you would have snuggle up in front of the sofa watching a favourite TV programme together, all of a sudden you're busy writing, because you're busy writing your Christmas cards or wrapping presents and whatever. So it's easy to squeeze each other out and forget how important you are, because, without you two as a solid group, actually there isn't the family foundation. So, if you are lucky enough to be parenting in partnership, then, don't forget to remember how important the other person is.
Okay. Do we have any more emails as well, Amelia?
Yes, I've got a comment here from Evelyn. She says, in the last few years, we had spent Christmas with both mine and my husband's family. We prepare a big family party in the hall every year. Both our families get along very well, and Christmas for us gets better and better each year. It is stressful when it comes to the shopping and preparations, as we have to prepare a long shopping list. All of the family members contribute, but at times, if they can't chip in, we all help out. It's more of a burden for others. Apart from that, the fact that we're all together releases the stress.
Oh, that's nice. It actually releases the stress to be together. Sometimes people get more stressed when they're all together.
Okay, well, we're all different. All our families are different, aren't they?
That's right. Okay, Sharon, thank you so much for the advice.
Thank you. It's always a
again.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me back.
Thank you very much. And after the break, we're going to be joined by Natalie, who's a relationship writer. And we're going to be talking about some interesting things, such as what to do if you're single over Christmas, if you've just broken up with someone. And I'm sure it's going to be very, very helpful. So join us after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, and we're speaking about relationship stresses over Christmas. So if you'd like to share any funny stories even, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Well, now we have Natalie Lou with us, who is a relationship writer and is very familiar with some stresses over Christmas, because she writes about it, don't you, quite regularly. Good evening. Thanks for joining us again.
No, thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's
a stressful time.
Yeah, I think people start worrying about Christmas probably from about sort of November, certainly from when the Christmas adverts start. People just gradually wind themselves up and up and up, and they start thinking ahead to, how am I going to get through this Christmas? They just wind themselves up with all these thoughts. By the time Christmas rolls around, they're nearly ready to explode.
And they normally do.
Yes,
they
normally do, yeah. Or you just kind of get to Christmas and it's all a bit of an anticlimax, and then you think, gosh, I've just spent weeks stressing myself out over all of this, and actually it was kind of unnecessary.
It's quite sad, isn't it? Because I keep saying it's just one day. It's not. It doesn't. It's not.
Oh, I say this to people all the time.
It's just like people just hype up so much, and it's like, and they just set themselves up for disappointment.
But I always say to people, it's just December.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not to say that we can't make some of these things, that some of these times aren't special. But it is just December, another month in the year. And it's also quite a commercial time. And I think we can really stress ourselves out with this image of what we think everybody else is like. Everybody else out there in their perfect relationship, having a perfect Christmas. And poor old me, I'm having a terrible time and I'm going to have a terrible Christmas. And actually, well, nobody's in a perfect relationship. And nobody I know is having a perfect Christmas. Most people find it quite stressful. And so we just kind of just pressurize ourselves far too much. And I think we're all trying to have these hallmark, Christmases, and we just kind of need to sort of relax, a little bit more. And instead we wind ourselves up, whether we're in a relationship. Of course, being brokenhearted is difficult.
Yeah, tell us about that. When someone's actually broken up, maybe even recently, or even some time back. People do still find this time really, really difficult, don't they?
Well, especially if they were together the previous Christmas, then it'd be, this time last year we were, you know. So, you know, that can be hard, especially if it was a long relationship or just a relationship that felt like it really, really meant a lot, and you weren't necessarily thinking that it was going to sort of, or you could have been in, you know, a relationship that had started this year, and you probably thought that it was going to be going somewhere, and then, you know, next thing you know, you're sort of here at this juncture, and you're now in December, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I'm single.
You know, you just remind him. Sorry, this came to my mind now. Like my husband went to our graduation. We were just going out together then, and he didn't want me in any of his graduation pictures with his family in case he broke up. So he was stuck with the picture.
But it's true.
I thought, charming, thanks.
But people, you know, we do think about some of these things, and I think I hear as well from a lot of people who there's nothing worse than being blindsided with a breakup, you know, in the run up towards Christmas. Although at the same time, I also hear from people who have been thinking about breaking up, but they go, I don't know if I want to break up because it's Christmas and I don't want to ruin their Christmas. So what, you're going to ruin their New Year instead?
Exactly. Just
you know,
get it over and done with.
It's the difference between a rough end of the year or a rough beginning of the year. You know, pick it.
You just prolong the problems as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what's interesting with, you know, with a breakup at Christmas, I think that can really kind of add an awful lot of pressure, whether it actually happened at Christmas or as, you know, happened from some time before. Because you go, a breakup is a loss. You know, you have these hopes and expectations tied up, you know, in this person, and then you're no longer together. And so your memories start to come up, you know, at this time. You know, maybe you'd already been thinking about a gift for them or something, I don't know, or you were going to take a trip. And so it can be quite hard. And you can be quite tempted to do some things that come the beginning of the year, beginning of next year, you're going to regret, like buying your ex a gift.
Yeah, why do people do that?
It's odd.
It's just weird, isn't it?
I get so many emails from people going, do you think I should buy my ex a gift? And I'm like, they're an ex for a reason. Why on earth would you buy them a gift? Well, you know, I just want to show them how special, you know, they are. And it's, you know, they spend a lot of December thinking about the gift and planning what to buy, then buying it. And then they have to think about how on earth they're going to get this gift to the person. Yeah. Buying a gift for your ex is weird. It is. And it will communicate all of the wrong things about you. It doesn't matter if you're the nicest person in the world. It just gives off this message that you're a little bit too desperate for them. Even if you send a Christmas card, you know, not a gift, you know.
But I can understand, for example, if the people have children together, and maybe like they've kept that kind of civil friendship, you know, relationship. So they will talk, they do see each other every now and then. So, okay, maybe they'll buy the mother of their children or the father of their children a gift. But for people that don't have those ties and then they're supposed to have broken up and moved on with their life, that's like saying, well, I still actually like you and I'm still in love with you and I want to get back together with you, and then all these like it's hidden messages.
And you
aren't
don't
even
know.
true.
They could be in a relationship with somebody else and their partner might feel quite weirded out by you sending them a gift. So there's all these, you know, sort of sides to it. It's the same with, you know, we live in a very different time. You know, if this was only a few years ago, you used to send a Christmas card to people. Now it's, do you think I should send my ex a text? You know, and you go, it's just a text. And people agonise about this thing for weeks before Christmas.
It could open a whole can of worms as well, couldn't it?
Oh, really? It does. If here it goes, Happy Christmas, how are you? Well, fancy coming around at 2 o'clock this morning, you know, type of thing. And, you know, or they go, oh, you know, I've been thinking about you. Oh, I'm dating somebody else. So now you're crying into your phone of your Christmas. So you feel, you know, you feel silly for doing these things. And I think that, you know, the text, especially when you've had a few drinks, you know, maybe you're feeling a bit frustrated with your family at the dinner table. You think, oh, I just text my ex and feel a bit better. You just opening up. You'd only feel better for a very short period of time. If they don't respond as quickly as you'd like, or they don't respond at all, or they don't respond in the manner that you expect, you're just opening up yourself to even more hurt.
Yeah. And what about people as well the other way around? So say, for example, you're the one that's broken up with someone, you have no interest whatsoever in that person anymore. Maybe you've moved on as well, but the person still feels I should send them a gift or I should
It's just called messing with their head.
It is.
It does. It just messes with it doesn't mean that you have shady intentions when you reach out to a person, but I think it's good to examine your motives for wanting to reach out to somebody who you've broken it off with them, because you end up sending mixed messages. If that person is heartbroken and is actually really wanting to get back together with you and is hoping that you still have feelings, and then you start giving them a gift. Or
Imagine the hope, like,
yeah.
oh my God, she still loves me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you kind of go, well, actually, no, I just want. And the thing is, part of the reason why we do these things, the reaching out, let's be friends, which, come on, it's just a token thing that we say, afterwards to kind of make ourselves feel a bit better. And some people really take that to heart. So if you then start giving, sending these packages and cards, the person thinks they're getting back together, but you're only really doing that because you feel bad about the fact that you've broken up with them, but that's for you to deal with that feeling, not for them to kind of rub you and go, no, they're there, it's okay, you haven't hurt me, it's okay, don't worry about it. That's not for them to do. Let them get on with, leave them alone and let them just get on with it. Send them a card, if you want, because that's, I think sending a card has a lot more sentiment behind it than sending a text saying, hope you're well, ... which is the standard form.
And where's my text back?
Yeah. ...
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now for the single ones, maybe this person hasn't, broken up with anyone, but they're just single.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know some people feel very awkward, especially if like they're a bit older, maybe in their 30s, 40s or older. They feel very awkward around family members and spending time with family over Christmas, because it's always when are you getting married, or when are you going to have a partner? And it's just, they feel really sort of bad about themselves.
Yeah, it's the why are you still single, as if you have this key to knowing why you're not in a relationship, and you can end up fielding questions, and so you can kind of feel like the spectacle, sort of in the room. And I talk from personal experience, of having annoying aunts and uncles, saying things, or my mother, going, oh, it's a shame we don't have a husband here this Christmas, which obviously she doesn't have to worry about anymore. But, I think...
they worry a lot, don't they?
Single people, we can put an awful lot of pressure on ourselves when we're single. And Christmas does seem to put an awful lot of pressure on people. And I think if you treat single as that really horrendous time between your next, in between your relationships, then when Christmas comes along, you're just going to feel like, oh my God, I'm so lonely, I'm so the odd one out. And so we have to be a bit more gentle with ourselves around Christmas, and remember that it's just December. And, it's, I used to treat myself to something, and still do every Christmas, but we'll keep that quiet anyway. But
it's your husband.
No. I just wrap it up and come to somebody else. Yeah. But, you treat yourself to something, because, you don't have to wait to be in a relationship to have nice things for yourself. You can buy yourself something nice at Christmas, but also make plans. I hear from so many people and they go, well, I didn't want to go to this film because I don't have somebody. Go out.
This is what I say to friends that are singles, like, it's not a horrible thing to be single.
No.
Okay, I know you want to be in a relationship, but enjoy your single time now, because there's so many more things you can do. Like if you want to get up and travel and stuff, you don't have to sort of, to let anyone know that you're going. You can just do so many things.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
The thing is as well, if you're not out, you're not meeting anybody. So it's like, if you want to be even in with a possibility of meeting somebody or just enjoying yourself, you're not going to do it sitting at home.
Yeah.
I know some people will be like, well, I'll stay home and I'll surf the internet for, on a dating site. But go out there, socialise, enjoy yourself, because otherwise it becomes like, I'm single and I'm imprisoning myself.
That's the thing, and you forget, not forget, but you're not used to interacting with people anymore. Even if you're not going out to meet anyone, but at least socialising with people and keeping that contact with other people and knowing how to sort of talk and have a conversation.
Yeah, you just go out and enjoy yourself. And I think the other thing I would say is, there are some single people who, for all intents and purposes, they are single, but some single people are actually seeing somebody who isn't single, like a married person, or, somebody who's already in a relationship. And so what's really hard about that is that everybody thinks you're single and everybody's badgering you about being single. And then you're hiding there in the toilet trying to text.
That's an awful place to be.
It's not a good place to be. And, your whole Christmas can go waiting for the text, waiting for the call, responding, crying, all this type of stuff. Leave it be, because it's very hard as it is. And then this person's off having their own Christmas with somebody else, and you're sitting there torturing yourself at home with your family. So, make the most of those people around you. And actually, when I was single, I remember when I first started to really enjoy Christmas and not see it as being torturous, is when I just kind of started to feel a bit more gratitude actually for my friends and my family around me, and I just kind of let the comments bounce off me, you know, about being single, because I realise that people sometimes just don't have anything better to do with the time, or that when you ask them back something as equally personal, they suddenly don't have anything else to say to you anyway. But I just started to kind of embrace just who I was, and I wouldn't feel embarrassed. I was like, I'm single, so what?
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself at the moment, thank you.
Yeah, and they go, oh. Because people latch on to when you give off this impression that you're a bit insecure about something. And people, especially people who know you very well, like your family or people like friends who've been around a long time, some people will exploit a weakness, or they'll think that they're being funny, you know, when they crack a joke about it. And also, don't be afraid to turn around and say to people, look, enough on the single jokes. Let's just talk about something else.
Something else, exactly.
Yeah.
And how about people now that are actually in a relationship, not married or anything, but maybe they've just started dating, or they've been going out together for a while and they're in quite a serious relationship?
Well,
but the stresses come as well with that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're in a new relationship, this can be a bit of a funny time. Do I not buy a gift? Because you don't want to look like a stalker or somebody weird. If you show up with something big and they don't have anything, or they have something very small, I sometimes say to people, buy a backup gift just in case. Because then
keep the receipt in case.
Yeah, if you've misjudged it and they suddenly turn around and they got something really big and go, and surprise, you know, and I got something here. But also sometimes just have a conversation, you know. I see these people torturing themselves, like, and they're going, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what we're doing for Christmas, I don't know where we're buying something. Sit down and say, what are you doing for Christmas? You know, it's just so much easier than all this keeping yourself awake at night wondering what on earth is going on and what they're going to do. You don't know if they're experiencing anxiety themselves, and at least then you put yourself out of your misery. Also, don't expect people to mind read, you know, and so many people get themselves wound up and they go, well, if somebody knows who I am, or they like me, or they care about me, or they love me, they will know exactly what to buy me.
That's rubbish, isn't it?
Listen, I don't even know what to buy myself half the time. So why somebody else is supposed to suddenly know all of my wants and needs? Yeah. And then it becomes all this hinting stuff. And of course, the trouble with hints is the person sometimes misses them, you know, because
often.
Well, often. I think some people's idea of hinting, it's so vague. It's almost like they didn't say anything at all. Yeah. And so, you know, kind of leave out the hinting. You know, there's nothing wrong with turning around and saying, I would really like if I got this. You know, this year.
I think people appreciate that more as well than when you're trying to drop hints everywhere, because one, like you said, they could completely miss the hint. But I prefer people to be open and direct with me, because then at least I know where I stand. And it's really annoying if someone's sort of beating around the bush, and you know, sometimes you know they're trying to get at something, but you don't know what. And
I can't be doing all this mystic Meg stuff. You know, it's just like you start to get brain ache after a while. It's a bit like, just talk to me, you know, on a level. We're both grown-ups here, you know. I think as well, you know, once you've obviously established, you know, where you're, you know, what you're doing, you know, for Christmas. Also, if at this stage you haven't talked about Christmas, I'd certainly give it about another week. But I would start kind of thinking about your plan B. You know, don't believe in it right to the wire, because the truth is that somebody who is planning to spend Christmas with you is going to keep you in the dark about it. Like, surprise, we're spending Christmas together. You know, you have your own life as well. So don't be afraid to sort of make plans and say, look, you know, I'm going to go ahead and make plans, or look, let me know. Are we doing something together this Christmas? Not in some ultimatum type of way.
Sometimes people might be a bit afraid because they're thinking, I'd really love to ask my girlfriend over for Christmas, but I don't know if that's going to seem too forward, and like if things seem too serious because she's going to come and meet my family. So sometimes maybe people are kind of holding back because of that as well.
I know, and this is why we just need to, I mean, it's difficult. I think if you're in something that's very, very new, I personally, if I'd only known somebody a few weeks, I'd be quite wary of doing the whole going around and doing the whole, because trust me, if it's all over next month, that's just going to, and that's not to say it is going to be, but it's very intense. And I think that, I think particularly as women, we do get very carried away with this. Oh, well, if I've met their mother or their father, then it must mean that we're going to get married. And not everybody attaches the same meaning to meeting family. So it's best to be very clear about what certain things mean before you start, you know, planning your wedding outfit and stuff.
That's right.
And but yeah, and I think that it's continuing to sort of have that dialogue with one another as well. And you know, and we were talking about this earlier. You know, don't use, you know, the going around to see, you know, one another's family as an opportunity to air your grievances. Because sometimes, you know, you've met, you don't have to be married to do this, trust me, but, you know, you can be in a relationship and you're not really that keen on your partner's family, you know, it could be their mother or their sister, whoever, and you might be stewing about it all month. It's amazing, so many people stew. They're like literally...
And they just save it all up for the day.
They're ruminating about the possibility of this conflict that could be coming up towards the end of the month on Turkey Day. And then by the time it gets to that point, it's just one little thing.
Yeah.
And you're going to be ready to erupt. And the thing is, your partner isn't really going to appreciate it if you can't kind of keep it together.
Well, you're just going to end up spoiling Christmas, aren't you? I mean, I always say that if you have an issue with someone, sort it out straight away. Don't leave it for any longer, because you end up feeling bad. That person ends up feeling bad. And then you just have a big explosion. So let's not do that over Christmas, guys. Let's try and air grievances before that. All right, Natalie, thank you so much
for the
advice.
Having me again.
It's lovely.
Yeah, it's good feedback.
All right, and also after the break, we're going to be joined by Chris Brown in the Self-Development Clinic. So join us then. Welcome back, and now we have with us Chris Brown in our lovely Self-Development Clinic.
Ah, it's lovely
Hello,
here, isn't it?
Chris.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Great. I'm very well, thanks. I'm really excited about the Christmas and all what we're going to do for Christmas and
Are you?
what's happening at
You're
Christmas.
Not, you're not stressed about it?
No, why should I be? I've decided that I'm going to play it our way instead.
What's
We're not going
your
to go
way?
with the traditional way. We're just going to do what we feel like doing when we feel like doing
Good
it
for
and
you.
when.
Can you,
at the
do you
end
want
of
to
the
share
day.
what you do normally?
I'll tell you what, I'll share at the end
All right,
what we do.
okay.
Yeah, I'll share at the
You're
end what we
hoping
do.
we're going to run out of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Sharp. Okay, I'm going to start off today. I've got a few pointers, right, which I've actually put down. But before we do start, I want to play a little game with you.
Okay.
Right, we're going to have a little game of
We're
association.
wary of games on live TV.
I
Do you
know,
never what's gonna happen. Yeah.
but you know these games we
Yeah.
do, right? Association.
Okay.
If I said to you, I say one word to you, and the first word that comes to your mind, right? Okay, cards.
Christmas.
Yeah. Shopping.
Christmas.
Work party dues.
Christmas.
And presents.
Christmas.
Christmas, right.
Yes.
So that's what we get in Christmas, don't we? We expect all these things at Christmas time. This is what's going to happen. These are the things that actually causing stress, because we've got certain expectations about what we're supposed to do, where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, and who we're supposed to be pleasing, much to what was said earlier on in that sense. But if we took control instead and made out, as I'm always going back to, our goals of what we should be doing at Christmas time. Just you said to me a while ago, how am I going to spend Christmas and all that? So in my head already, I know that I'm not going to get as frustrated as I would have before in the past. And anyway, on Christmas Day, it's my birthday anyway, so
Seriously?
yes.
Oh my
So I
God.
make sure that
Oh,
we
that's
do it
horrible.
our way. Ah, well, I'll tell you something. You're actually right in a way, and no. Presents as a child from family, always get two.
Oh, do you?
Outside,
Oh.
yeah, outside always one. We get that Christmas card that says "Happy Birthday." Oh, let me put Christmas in there at the same time, or vice versa. But it's been okay. You get used to it after a number of years. Let's put it that
how
way.
many exactly?
I think I might be going 25.
Oh, really?
again.
Okay.
Yeah, mhm.
Okay.
Again, right? Yeah. So one of the points is setting goals out at Christmas. What you really want to do and what you should be doing. Another thing is the whole idea.
People don't normally think about setting goals, because they just think Christmas is set and it's meant to be like this anyway. So they don't kind of try and do anything different or think of anything different. It's just like a given.
Exactly. They do what is expected of them, not what they really want to do. Now, you think about it. If we want to get organised, as I'm always talking about being organised, if you know you've got a certain amount of cards to send out abroad, you've got a certain date to write those out ahead of that time. Right? You know you've got certain presents to get, certain date ahead of that time. Organise each day, each time, right up until that period, you know. You shouldn't really be running around on Christmas Eve, as we normally do. You shouldn't be running around. You should be pretty chilled by then, which is what I expect.
It's
this
awful to go
Christmas.
shopping on Christmas Eve anyway, isn't it?
Oxford Street? Oh, forget it, honestly. You know, you see everybody stopping and looking around
Yeah.
at the lights, and you bump into, sorry. And
Yeah.
that's going all the way
Not
through.
good.
Too much stress, not good for you, Christmas Day. So we'll put that aside. All right, let me go into number 2 here. We're talking about, well, first of all, the last one was setting goals, okay? Set goals for Christmas. Next one is, which I called it getting the drinks in, which is actually the opposite, right? You get that time, you got that member of the family who likes a bit too much drink, which I mentioned about last time. And that, let's say that Uncle Jim who comes around who just loves the alcohol straight away and goes to that part, right? Or some other member of the family. Why are you going to supply them with so much drink? Certain things start to come out in the mouth, certain actions, people get offended, things go out of line and it all falls apart. And you've got to ask yourself, well, who supplied it? So you just start thinking of how you're going to limit your drinks instead. Right.
The only problem is though sometimes they come already drunk.
That's
the only thing. You can't really do anything about that, but apart from try and sort of keep them calm and stuff. But there are people that do turn up drunk, but it's good not to fuel that. But then it's like you think, well, we don't want to spoil it for the rest of the family. Unless you just water it down and don't say anything.
Well, there's the other thing. You've got a lot of non-alcoholic drinks and you put them all on the table amongst, mix them amongst. I'm not saying cut it out completely if you don't want to. It's up to you. It's your choice. I'm not saying don't. But just think about what's going to happen after. And not only that as well, the whole idea of going out to the drinks party with the office work and everything and having a little bit too much, saying the things you shouldn't have said, ending up where you shouldn't be, and then thinking about it for the rest of the year, not really wanting to go back into work. Yes, exactly.
Probably.
It's pretty dangerous actually right now. It is very dangerous. And I think people should take responsibility for what they're doing, who they are, and for the rest of the new year as well. Yeah. Okay, so that's number 2. We're talking about drinks there, right? So limiting how much we're going to do. Number 3, highlights of what's missing. Christmas time tends to be a time where we start to reflect. We start to reflect on people we've known before, just as you mentioned earlier, on relationships. It can be a happy time for some, and it also can be a sad time for some, because that's the time we think about things like missed one, bereavements at a time. You're thinking either about, let's talk about the children as well. You've got a situation where you've got divorced parents, right? And you're thinking about all the things, if this could be like that, if that can be like that. Let's deal with one first, the other. Bereavement. And actually, been down that road itself. It's a time to actually think about, well, the humorous things about that person, the fun things about that person, things you loved about them, the things that made you laugh at that point, instead of thinking how much you're going to miss them, because we're all going to, at one day or another, but start thinking about the humorous things
and I think it's important for people to actually, if you are missing that person over Christmas, it's good to actually talk about it, because sometimes you say, oh, I don't want to bring it up in case mum gets upset or in case this person starts crying, but maybe they want to and they're all doing the same thing, they're all suppressing all those emotions, but then it just takes one person to just say something funny about it and then you can all have a laugh about it.
Exactly. It's really that sort of grey elephant in a room sort of thing. Nobody meant to mention it, but it's actually there. I totally agree with you on that. Talk about it. And you'd find out the humorous things that come out makes it a lot easier, a lot better in that way. And let's talk about the children as well. We're talking about divorced parents as well.
That must be hard.
That is very hard, but think about it this way for the child. Well, 1, you're going to get one present on that side. 2, you're going to get a present on that side as well. What do you want for Christmas? And then Mummy goes, what do you want for Christmas? There's other sides of the world of turning this around and trying to, make it a lot better, a lot easier at that time. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying you're just going to gloss it over just like that, but there are ways of tackling this at the same time to look at the benefits. Right. All right. So let's move on to number 3. Right. Feeling underachieved. That's another one that comes to the end of the year. And we say Christmas, all right, great time, but we know straight after that we've got the New Year's coming. Time to reflect as well of what you've achieved for the year. Now, why are you sitting there thinking about, wallowing into what you didn't do? Thinking about what you didn't achieve, right? Thinking about, well, I should have set this goal like this or like that. No, it's not a time for that. It's time to reflect and think about the things that you did do, what is good about you, what is good about your qualities, relationships, friendships that you've made throughout the year. There's a lot of positive things. And instead of thinking about all what you haven't achieved, there's one thing to remember, you've still got time to achieve them. It doesn't mean that Christmas is it and that's the one day and everything's supposed to finalise by then. We're going to a new year, start setting new goals. Start setting with the short term, the now, the medium and the long term as well.
I started doing that today actually. I started to write down I've started off with my family, but I'm starting to write down things that I've seen progress in and how I've been towards my family this year and setting goals for next year already. And I'm going to do that for each area of my life. That's
great. That's brilliant.
So like the job here as well and like different things, health-wise and stuff. So just it's good to see well, actually you have achieved quite a lot this year.
How does it make you feel when you do
it? It's really good actually.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously you kind of see the bits where you could have done better, but then you can put that for next year, so it's okay. You don't feel badly about yourself if you do that. But until you actually start writing down and thinking, you don't realise how much you've done.
No, you don't. And you've actually hit the coin, as I just said. Christmas is one day. At the end of the day, it's just one day. Why are you trying to pressurise yourself about all the things you didn't do?
Yeah.
And why do we go into the spiral and start wallowing? We start wallowing, thinking, oh,
I think people like to feel sorry for themselves sometimes.
Oh,
It's
thank
like
you.
You go through that phase where you kind of enjoy feeling miserable and you enjoy kind of feeling sorry for yourself, and then you think, hang on, now I'm starting to feel really bad because I'm starting to feel a bit depressed, and then you kind of pull yourself out of it. But I think for some people, they just enjoy sort of being miserable for a bit.
Yeah, around that time, and letting everybody else know they feel miserable about it.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
It spoils it for everyone, doesn't it, though?
Of course it does. Of course it does at the end of the day. And that triggers the whole thing. We was talking about family, the alcohol. As people start drowning themselves in the drink and everything like that, and wallowing and start. We don't need that at the end of the day. It's a choice. You have a choice to either go through in a positive way, look forward to next year, great things are going to happen. All right, I didn't achieve that year, but guess what? I've got a whole year. I've got a lifetime ahead still to go with it. So let's go for it and just say, remember, Christmas is just one day, right? And it's not about consumerism only. It's about relationships, family, having a great time.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Chris, thank you. Have you got more
Very
points?
much welcome.
Are you finished?
We're fine on that.
Okay, all right, we're finished. Okay. I just wanted to mention something about in-laws, because I know some people have a bit of an issue with... Let's talk about mother-in-laws. I'm not going to ask you about yours, don't worry.
Oh, no, you can ask me. You can ask me.
Yeah, probably because you've got a nice one. That's why I know. If you didn't, you wouldn't be so... I know sometimes this causes a lot of stress because you get... I know there's some mother-in-laws, and I've had people speak to me about this, that they really kind of put the wife down or the daughter-in-law down by saying, you know, you didn't cook this properly, you didn't make this properly, and it causes a lot of tension over Christmas, doesn't it? And but I think the thing is, we have to kind of, if you are the daughter-in-law or even the son-in-law, and you go around and you start hearing this, like we said earlier, it's not the best time to sort of get into a fight, an argument, and start talking about it. For the sake of your partner, just, you know, and do you know what? Sometimes I think people don't realise how much their comments hurt. You know, some older people, like mothers-in-law, they just sort of say things, like the older generation, they just say things and they don't think that it's really hurting your feelings. So if I were in the person's shoes, I'd just sort of let it go. And actually, to be honest, if you really don't like your mother-in-law, she can't be that bad if she, you know, if you're married to the son, for example, because she's done a pretty good job because you liked him. So there must be something good about her.
And
so
on top of that, I mean, well, they signed it over saying, yes, we approve at the time. So when things start changing, there's got to be a reason. And it takes two. It takes two. We've got to remember at the end of the day, it takes two. You know?
I mean, I think where you can, like I said, don't leave things for Christmas Day or anything. If you have an issue with someone, I think you should speak calmly with the person when the issue happens or shortly afterwards when you've calmed down a bit, but not on a specific day when all the family's there and everything. So, you know, it's best to sort things out. But some things I think you just have to let go, because it's like you've got two generations, and say, for example, an older generation will think differently to a younger generation. Sometimes it's not worth it. It's not that they're being cruel to you or, you know, wanting to hurt your feelings. It's just they're set in their ways and that's how they are.
It's not acceptable to actually, well, it's a form of abuse as well, mentally, to be put down by someone in any kind of way. Yeah. But just as you said, some people are fixed in their ways. They might say something, that's not actually what they actually mean.
Exactly.
There's another issue going on behind that, which needs to be highlighted and talked about. It'd be good if you can actually set a ground and playing ground and say, well, let's sit down and talk about this first before we actually even go on to Christmas Day and get it out. And that way, on the day, you know, it's all out, it's being talked about, it's all spewed out, and we can actually start getting on, hopefully. By then.
And you know what? Give your mother lots of compliments, your mother-in-law lots of compliments, because she will love that. You'll be putty in your hands, right? All right, we'll reach the end of the show for today, but Wednesday will be all about my favourite things. I'm going to be talking about my favourite Christmas things and things that I like to do as well, so there'll be lots of nice videos for that. So we'll see you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.